Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the FLA podcast. I am super happy today to be bringing back a guest who was on our show really a couple months ago, probably closer to a year ago. But I'm really excited to have him back because he's going to be offering us a ton of value and information on what it's going to be like for agents, for brokers, and for team leaders going into, really the next 6 to 12 to maybe even 18 months, depending on, we don't know what's going to happen. But with these NAR lawsuit changes that are going to be rolling out for all of us here in the real estate brokerage and agent industry. But if you guys haven't seen our previous episode here with our guest today, Paul Atkinson is a real estate broker and the founder of Successful Business Academy, training agents on their sales skill sets. And if you've heard of his story in our previous episode that we did, he actually sold his first house the very first day he got his real estate license, which is really quite an incredible story. If you want to go back and check out that episode to get to know Paul a little bit more. But Paul, man, I'm really excited to have you on to talk about some of these changes. I know you have a lot of information and you can provide us with a lot of different perspectives because you are a broker and a leader, but also a very successful sales agent as well. So, man, welcome back to the show. And how are you? How have you been holding up since the last time you were on?
Hey, Kobe, thank you so much. And thank you, everyone, for having me back. And it's always a pleasure. I'm delighted to be here. And the question is, hey, how do we handle and navigate through these changes with the NAR right now? But more before we get into that, I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. I've done amazing with my health and just, the business. I always try to balance things out, balance the health, balance the business. So things have been good, to be honest, personally. So thanks for asking. It's always a pleasure to talk to you and to be with you, Kobe, and your audience. So I'm delighted to be here.
Yeah, well, thank you, Paul. I'm really glad that you're doing well, and I know you do. You do have a big proponent when it comes to balancing. You were teaching a lot of the people in your sales successful business academy some of those things as well. But let's dig right on in because I think people are a little bit anxious, right? Especially if they're a sales agent in this space. They want to know what are some of the best practices to move forward. So let's start with on the agent side, right? Because there's a lot of real estate agents listening to this and they want to know basically what it's going to affect, right? How are these NAR lawsuit changes going to affect them, going to affect their business? You've been training agents on their sales skill sets for a while now. So what would you say to agents who are going to be going through this change and not knowing what to expect? What are some of the best things that they need to be focusing on?
All right, great. Let's jump right into it. And, there's three categories that we're going to cover on today when we answer the question how to navigate through the NAR new changes that are coming, right? Or to come, or that's presently here. We're going to talk about what you should do as a broker, what you should do as a leader, what you should do as an agent. But let's start with the agent. There's three things. Number one, as an agent, my first thought process to you, because remember, I operate as an agent too. So here I am, the broker, the leader, the academy, school, CEO, whatever. But I'm also an agent because I believe in being a leader where you are in the trenches, and that's from the military. So don't get me all twisted. I'm one of those guys that is right there with you. I want to know what it's like to deal with a buyer and what it's like to deal with a seller. Now, I don't do it a lot, but I do it just a little bit enough to stay focused, to stay driven, to stay educated of what it takes to close a deal. So that's it. So as an agent, I want you to, number one, take 3 deep breaths. Relax. It's all going to be good. And everything happened for a reason. And right now, believe it or not, this is an opportunity for you to grow your business even stronger than before. So take 3 deep breaths and relax. And then, number two, you should learn the changes and be creative. So whatever it is that the broker, the team leader brings down to you as the changes, because as you see, we go into the other categories of talking about what the leader should do, what the broker should do. You're going to see I'm kind of outlining three things for each person. So as the agent, number one, take 3 deep breaths, relax. And then number two, I want you to learn the changes that you've gotten from the leader, from the broker. And and then be creative with those changes. Make sure that you fully understand them, you fully comprehend them, and then kind of like think outside the box like you normally do, but don't ask stupid questions. Like if somebody tell you something, you understand it, comprehend it, and then think outside the box and bring something to the table that say, hey, I was wondering, I was thinking, I know we could do this, but can we do this too? Be creative, because this is a time of for all of us to be creative and to make it work. And number three, finally for the agent, you should increase your PMA, which is your positive mental attitude. You need to increase it. So every day that you get up, you need to do something to make sure that you're increasing your positive mental attitude. That attitude that you have, that mindset that you have, that allows you to say, no matter what happens, the customer is always right. I'm not going to get pissed off at them today, even though they're telling me that I'm no good and I don't even know what I'm doing. Don't get angry at them. Nope, don't do it. Even if they say they want to fire you for not selling that house on time or fast enough, don't get angry. Even if they tell you, oh, I don't know if I'm ready to make the offer yet, don't get angry, because it leads to the next thing. So you got to increase your positive mental attitude, plus increase your sales skills. You need it. You must have good attitude, good mindset to motivate yourself and to be able to handle the objections, because Kobe, I was coaching an agent many years ago, and I can't say the name, but one of the areas that I had to coach her on was the way how she handled a objection. It actually turned into rejection for her. And we had to dig deep into the core of her childhood to find the root, pluck that sucker out, and throw it in the garbage. Interesting, isn't it? So, so you really have to think about your mentality as a strong realtor. Where is your mentality coming from, and how are you able to handle the motivation that you need by giving yourself the motivation with a flip of a switch? And then at the same time, this is a time for you to build your sales skills. You need to know how to influence, persuade, and even seduce your clients. No seduction in a sexual way, seduction in an influential way to cause them to sign. And there are techniques for that. So wherever you are inside of what you get with your team leader, get with your coach, get with your mentor, get with your broker, get with Kobe, and figure out how you're going to increase your PMA, positive mental attitude, and at the same time, how you're going to increase and grow your sales skills. Now, why do you need it? Why do you need these two things? Because in your future, perhaps there's going to be more objections that are going to come. When the new rules come into place, or the new way of doing business, and you have to tell the buyer, oh, listen, you might have to pay me 2.5 to 3%. Oh no, I don't know how are you going to handle that? Number one, the first thing that's going to come to you is your heart rate. Boop, 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 boop. Oh my God, your palm's going to get sweaty. You're going to be like, oh no, I'm losing. How am I going to feed my family? So you need to have that PMA in place. And secondly, you need to know how to handle that objection. Do you know what causes influence? Influence is caused by you educating and also providing the person with inspiration. That's how you influence someone. You educate them and you inspire them. So what I'm saying to you is, you're dealing with a buyer, and the buyer has to pay your 2 or 3% commission, and they're like, oh my gosh, where am I going to get it from? This is where you come creatively with the lender and say, hey, how can they get this money that would maybe come from the state, maybe some kind of heroes program that would add towards the closing costs. And then because I'm getting that back into the deal, I could go back to the seller and say, hey, listen, I know you don't pay me a commission, but I got extra money coming in here. So then let's write this commission agreement. Kobe, this is a time for us to make a whole lot of money. I'm sorry. This is nothing to feel bad about. This is perfect. You know what? I'm going to start charging 4%. I want more. It's a lot of work because it's an opportunity. So that is the agent, right? And before we get into the next person, which I'll be delighted for you to tell me which one we should talk about. But that's the three things, and let's summarize it. As an agent, what we said here was that you should take 3 deep breaths. Relax yourself because meditation helps you to be a successful realtor. It does. Kobe has been through our training and Successful Business Academy. You know what it's like, to get up every morning and perform the nuclear mind technique and all of that good stuff. But you need to relax. And then secondly, you need to, as an agent, number two, we said for you to get all the facts, get all the information, get all the changes from your team leader, from your broker. Be creative when you get this information. Ask, good quality questions. Don't be a dingbat. Don't, most agents out there are just like dingbats. Come on, slap you across the head. Don't ask dumb questions. Understand what somebody's saying to you. Comprehend it. Be intelligent. And then the number three, the final part that we talked about was to have PMA and to have sales skills increase. And that was that. So,
Yeah.
so there's two more to talk about, which are the brokers and the leaders. Kobe, what do you think so far? Any questions or what is your feedback?
Yeah, so obviously you have a ton of experience, right, on the sales side. So you know exactly what an agent should be doing. And that is, I think it's so important what you said there, the 3 points, or really the three and a half, 4 points that you made which is agents need to, first of all, not make this a bigger issue than it is, right? Because a lot of times we're making the problem bigger than it is in our own minds. So we don't have to do that, but also learning the information, right? Following the people who have come before, following the people who are, like you said, in the trenches, right? On the front lines, who are learning this information, your brokers, your team leaders, people who are really out there trying to provide as much information as possible for you in the different ways of doing business that are changing. And then lastly, of course, is your attitude, right? Your positive mental attitude. You talked about the nuclear mind. You also have something called a mantra, right? That you've all share with all of your, your sales coaching clients as well. So those are things that agents need to be doing. And of course, increasing their sales skill sets, which I think is very actionable for agents to do, because if you're increasing your communication skills, your influence, right? Education and inspiration, then you're able to actually help clients understand why you're charging commission rates that you're charging, why it's worth it for them, and the value you're providing them as well. So those are very, very important actionable steps for agents to focus on. Now let's talk a little bit now about the brokers, right? So brokers obviously are out there. They are they're really responsible for a lot of some of these changes going on. They're responsible for the agent's actions, and they're out there really carrying that liability for the agents as well. So what would a broker be doing if they're out there, they're reviewing contracts, they're making sure all the people in their brokerage are actually doing the right things? What should brokers be doing at this point? Because I'm sure, there's a lot of brokers out there who are, maybe feeling a little bit in over their heads, right, with all of these changes and the uncertainty, while also having to run the business, be an entrepreneur, and actually make the business profitable.
It's a great question because I had to, ask that and answer that for myself as a broker. So what here's the three things that I have for the broker, and it's great. Okay, guys, as a broker, I'm sitting with you in the same shoe. And there's three unique and three specific things that I jot down for this meeting and this talk today. Number one, get the updated forms in place, right? And here's how I can relate to that. We have here in South Florida, we have Form Simplicity. Hey, we probably have it all over the country. What am I talking about? We got Form Simplicity and we have Transaction Desk. As a broker, what I've done and what I'm saying for you to do, and I recommend, is that get the forms, get in there, read when you log in there, because some of the brokers don't even write contracts. I don't write contracts anymore. Do my assistant will write it, I will review it, right? So when you get in there, get into those systems, you're going to see an initial, when you log in, they say, hey, an alert, there's notification. Look for the notifications and you'll read them. Take the time to read them. They're saying, hey, listen, we have an update on this buyer's broker's agreement form, on this commission agreement form, on that form. Read it through, notice what's different, comprehend it, get the phone, ring the MLS department, because I call my MLS board. Hey, how you doing, Paul Atkinson? The moment you said broker with so and so, they're like, good morning, because they treat us like we're the top of the line. For the 20 years I've been in the business here, 21 years, that's how I've seen it. You say the word, hey, I'm such and so, bro, and they respond to you. And that's a beautiful thing. It's not to show off. I'm just telling they're here to help. So make the call to the MLS board. Hey, I'm such and such. I'm just reading this form. Is the attorney available? Is the man who can I get, or call and get the information if you don't comprehend it. But I did. I read it through and I was like, oh, I could see the difference. Okay, this is cool. And I understood it. So, number one, get the updated forms and then accept them and then update them, because you have to press the button to update it for brokerage wide. In Form Simplicity, you click the button, it updates it because you have a brokerage package that's made up. You have all of the packages made. Update the forms. That's what you should do. And know what's updated. And then be ready, because they're going to call you. They be the agents, the team leaders, they're going to call you. So know what's there. Number two, understand the new forms and get them clearly. Put yourself in that agent's shoe and say to yourself, hey, listen, I'm going to be dealing with this buyer. How am I going to read this to the buyer and sit there? And am I going to do this at Starbucks? No, I don't think that's a good idea. Let me bring them into the conference room. Think it through, man. Think it through. Put yourself in the agent's foot, right? Be in their footstep and say, okay, this is what I'm going to do. If it was me, because I'm sitting on the chair so much, if it was me, I think it's going to be best being done in this environment. Kind of like get a feel of it, right? And then show them some points of why it's good for them, how you can influence them by educating them and inspiring them. They want to get my services as a realtor. You're going to teach your agents to say to your client, to their buyers, hey, you really like working with me, right? Yes, because you were referred to me by Kobe, right? Yes, and Kobe is my brother, son, right? Yeah, okay. So that's the value. And I've been trained, I'm good, I got this track record, see my Google, you see all this stuff I'm going to offer you here? Yeah, okay, now in order for me to give you this, I don't want to leave you out there by yourself and doing a contract. I'm going to be with you, but you might have to pay 2 to 3% commission extra. What? Yes, let me educate you and show the value. So that's what we have to get ready to do as a broker. Help your agents to be able to show value. So that was number two, is understanding the forms and how they can be implemented. And then number three, you want to implement this into your firm. When you have these understanding of the forms and what the changes are, and then understanding what they are and how they are to be used, then you take them into the firm. And now, how do you take them into the firm? I don't know. How many people you've got? I don't know. Well, are you medium sized, small, big? Well, whosoever it is, more than likely you're going to have like a team leader or a sales manager. I have sales managers, and there's about 6 sales managers. So my thought process is, I'm going to understand all of this. I'm going to come up with a way, because I know my 6 sales managers. I know each and one of them personalities. One talk a lot, one don't talk much. I know. So that's what I'm talking about, implementing. And I know their learning styles. Some are audio, some visual, some kinetic. So I've got to set a meeting where all of this learning style dynamic could come into play and I could get it done and just complete everything on point. So learn and know exactly who you're dealing with and how you need to implement it. So if I got my sales managers and my ideas and what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a plan that says, hey, listen, this is what we're going to do based on the new buyers brokers agreement. I've read it through. You guys read it through. Let me get some feedback. And what are you guys thinking? And this is how I think we should approach it and take some census on it. That's what I'm saying. So implement it and, giving it to the team leaders first. And then from the team leaders, then we just come and just bring it down to the agents. And because the team leaders are going to know how to give it to their own agents. And that's what I see for the brokers, those three things. So summarize it, real quickly, get an update on the forms and get them in place, right? Get the updated forms in place, understand the new forms, and then implement them, create a plan how to implement them and execute it. That's what the broker should do.
Yeah, so really what I got there was, as a broker, you need to stay on top of things, right? So you need to absolutely be on top of things, really kind of let your I guess let your ego down a little bit, right? Because if you have questions, you have to ask them, right? Because everybody's going through this at the same time. Just because you're a broker doesn't mean you have more information on it than like a normal agent does. You would actually have to, should be the one going out there getting that information, right? Getting these updated forms from your MLS, and then also finding a way to implement them into your business, into your firm as well. And that's, I think a great strategy is to, pass it from the top down because, if you have a really large firm, I think it's difficult for you to be able to, know every single one of your agents and know their learning styles and everything. But you do, their team leaders, their sales managers who oversee those agents. So you would teach it to them and then make it their kind of their responsibility to teach it to their agents under essentially under their management or under their team as well. So that's very actionable advice for brokers to go out there and really learn the forms, understand them, so that way you can quickly implement them and teach them to the people under your supervision as well. So that's really good. And really kind of the last part of that, Paul, and then you got this prepared as well is the leaders, right? Because there's a lot of people who are leaders. Brokers obviously are leaders of their firm. There's team leaders, and even if you're an individual agent, you could be somewhat in a leadership position, right? You could step up to be in a leadership position. So, what should people who are in a leadership position or want to step up to a leadership position, which I think now it's a great opportunity, right, in times of change to do that. What should they be doing, right? How should you be leading the people around you and that work with you?
That's a great question, and it reminds me of being in the military. I spent 14 years in the military, and I was an E6 petty officer, which is a first class petty officer, and I was at that level where I am right in the middle management, I guess you would say. So I've got the captain and all the chiefs and all that people above me, and I've got like several people beneath me, and so how do you deal with that as a leader? In my opinion, there's three things that I want to say to you. Number one, you want to get the new way of doing business from the chief, the broker, right? So the broker comes to you and say, hey, listen, we've got this new thing, buyers brokers agreement. We got this new way. What do you think we should do? Because in real estate, it's not like a dictatorship type of leadership. Brokers don't come in and say, you need to do that. When I was in the military, I'd be like, hey, Atkinson, blah, blah, blah. It's more like a, hey, let's go have lunch. So it's mild mannered, so to speak. But as a leader, your objective is to keep those people that you are working with productive and don't let them fall out because this is a room, there's a lot of room here for error. There's a lot of room for error. There's a lot of, let's say, premonition or let's just say expectations that a lot of agents are going to fail even more than ever. A lot of people feeling like a lot of agents are going to migrate from this business. But as a leader, this is an opportunity to grab them and to hold them and harness them and make them strong and productive. Thereby, you become productive. Now, three things. Number one, get the new way of business from the broker. So get it from the broker, open-minded. Hey, what do read that information and say, hey, boss, maybe you don't even call him boss. Hey, Paul, what are you thinking about, man? I mean, we've read this through and how we're going to get it back. I want to see my agents doing it. Like, be open to get it. So understand that material, to understand these changes, and then start to thinking about the implementation process. How are you going to implement it? How are you going to use it? And you sort of need to be like the agent and be creative to see how the benefits is, because you really want to come up with something that's going to sell the agent to feel more strong, to go charge 4%. Forget 3. I don't want 3. I want 4 because I'm valuable. And it all comes about with the PMA and the sales skills. So are you teaching them? Are you teaching the agents the PMA, positive mental attitude, the strong mindset, and are you teaching them selling skills? Are you teaching them how to connect with the client, build that rapport, making things curious, making that conversation, really, really good. Curiosity comes into place, laying down a nice presentation and jumping all objections to closing. Because you've got to teach them that. And that's the 5 steps of the sale. That's what we do. So that was number one. Number two, as a leader, we definitely, after we understand this and see the vision in line with the brokerage or the team, whatever it is, then you need to really train yourself. That in which you look to give upon your team, know it off the bat. I believe in leadership that knows, that could stand on the front line. That's what I believe. You're a leader, you could pick it up and you could be right there. I don't believe in leaders that sit behind a desk and, oh, you should do this, you did that. No, 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 no. Come with me. Let's go on a listing appointment. Let me show you how to do this. Come with me. Let's go sit in the conference room with a buyer and show them the buyer's broker's agreement. I'm going to show you. That's what I'm talking about. And be ready to do that. The more you do that, the less you have to do it, because you're going to have strong people. That's interesting. Number 3, train the people. Yeah, when you really take a moment as a leader to say, hey guys, come on, we're gonna have a little Monday morning. Some of my team leaders, some of my sales managers, I call them, we don't call team leaders, we call them sales managers, because we have this great program. It's called Lifetime Commission. And the sales managers, they definitely get compensated for their team entire work, So one of them, they do a Monday morning meeting. Every Monday morning they have a meeting and they round up and they do their thing. And that's great. So get ready for that. So let's summarize this as a leader. What should you do in this time to navigate through the new NAR changes as a leader? We said number 1, get the new ways of doing business from the broker. Number 2, train yourself so you can train the people, which is number 3. Train yourself, number 2. So number 3, you can train the people. That's the key. Be strong. This is great. And that's the third thing and what I would say to summarize for the leader.
Yeah. So what I'm getting there is, as a leader, you need to not just get the information, right, from the brokers, but you need to be an active leader, especially at times like this where everything is changing and really you need to stay on top of these changes. And the best way to do that is to be in the trenches, right? Is to be on the front lines to make sure that you're actually doing the things that you would be teaching your agents to do because, you don't know what's, essentially what's going to work 100% of the time. You're testing things or you're trying different things, right? Once you get that basic information of the new changes, the new laws, and people who've come before you, right, from the brokers, then you can go out there and you can try it, and then you can see what's working and what's not working, and then bring that information back to the agents, and then train them on that as well. So that's really good, as a leader. And I think we were talking about this as well. Anybody can step up to be in a position of leadership, right? At this point, if you just are more active, more willing to share, more willing to try things and really help the people around you, then you will essentially kind of propel yourself into a position of leadership as things progress. So that's really good, Paul. I really appreciate you sharing all that information. I know all the experience you have. And really have, one more question for you to kind of just wrap this up. And I think a lot of agents will want to know this as well. And that is, what should they be doing in order to really balance and not necessarily juggle, right? We want to make sure we create balance, continuing to conduct their business on a day-to-day basis, right? Being the entrepreneur, being the salesperson, right? Working on their business, reaching new clients, prospecting, taking care of their clients, right? If you're a leader, maybe that's training your agents, maybe that's making your business more profitable, adding different tools, right? Balancing the actual business side with the new legal side, right? And the new getting more information, getting training on this, because there's a lot of agents out there, a lot of brokers and even team leaders who, I guess they're not necessarily going to as many trainings anymore because think they've been doing business the same way for a while and they're successful. But now that's changing. So how should they balance the two as far as running their business the way they are, but also actually having to get this information and get trained on this information so that way they can stay up to date and do their business even better.
All right, that's a very good question. And the best thing I could say is grab a ribbon and tie it around your finger because you need to tie a ribbon around your pinky finger so that when you can, say, oh, wait, why don't I have this right here? Here's my tip. And we're experiencing it here in South Florida. I know we have to balance the legal parts of what's coming and what's happening, and we have to balance, our life and keep the business, get the business. But put the reminder on the finger because every time that you get a client that says, "Oh, Paul, I want to see this house, and this house." You see those three houses? Here's what's on your pinky finger. Remember to check what co-brokering they're paying. That's what I got to tell you. Because in some instances, and we're starting to see it very little, there's one particular broker right now that's out there offering zero, and they've been doing it for about a month. It's ridiculous. But anyway, the reason why I say that is I got caught personally like 3 months ago, just doing business as normal for the past 20 years that I've been doing it. And my assistant set my appointments. I think I had 4 properties to show. And I showed the first one, the client liked it, showed the second one, not so much, showed the third one, yeah, maybe like it. And the very last one, my client says, yeah, I kind of like it. So she likes the first one and the last one. But guess what? The last one, when I pulled up on the scene, Kobe, and I use the phone to shoot myself. I look through. I'm like, hey Helen, how are you? She's a listing agent, and I'm doing. This is my buyer. Yeah, please show her. And I start to go through the details. What the shit? It says 0% foot commission. Zero. Miss, I was so. I look at Ellen. I said, right in front of my client. I said, Helen, you're co-brokering 0%? Yes, it's in the MLS. Oh, okay. I was like, damn. So put a marker on your pinky. What I'm saying to you is balance this thing as it's coming. Some people are doing it, some people are not doing it. Some people are offering the co-broker of 0%. Some people are saying they would never do that. Like me as a listing agent, I would tell my seller, how could you ever want to isolate yourself in such a way? That's what I'm saying, right? Hey, listen, you want me to just put it up there and just only take my portion, just to do my open house, to have it on my Realtor.com, Zillow, whatever my syndication is, my network. But what if one of my colleagues have a nice buyer that they've groomed and been dealing with for a couple of months? You mean to tell me you don't want me to take that? And my sellers are saying, Paul, nah. So anyway, I educated my buyer and inspired my buyer. I said, do you want me to help you with this, or you think you want to go with that lady over there? No, Paul, no, I want you to do it. Okay, well, then it might cost you 2% to 3%. Okay, well, where am I going to get that money? We'll figure it out. But you willing to pay that, right? Yes. And I went to the lender. The lender said, well, I don't know. We don't know how the hell we're going to get that money. It's all crazy right now. But the thing is, be able to deal with this craziness. So what you're saying, Kobe, is, hey, you know what? How do we balance these things? I want you to really, really pay attention to what you're doing right now and enhance that with your positive mental attitude and your selling skills, and have a daily plan and getting out there, being productive. But at the same time, keep an eye out for those listings that you're going to show. Before you show anything, look at them. Make it a point. Put a note on your pinky finger. The client says, I like this one, this one, this one. Say, okay, great. Look, are they co-brokering? Because we normally don't look. I don't look. I normally don't look. I just like, okay, set the appointment and I show up. My staff doesn't look. They just make the appointment. So that's what I'm saying to you. Take a look at it, and then, like, talk to your clients ahead of time. And what I discovered is, when the client told me, okay, Paul, I like this one, and this one, there's no prejudice. There's no prejudice here, guys. But I told the client, okay, you see this first one right here? They're not paying no co-broker, it's zero. So you might have to pay me 2 to 3%. But these two, they're paying 2.5. They're paying something. Then my client says, show me these two. Forget about that one. I say, are you sure? Yeah, maybe I can't find the money. Go for those two first. Now, isn't that interesting? So don't worry. It's all going to be okay. That's what I say.
I love that, Paul. I love that you mentioned that everything's going to be okay, and I think it is. I think agents just need to get used to this. Brokers needs to get used to this, and really that advice right there is very helpful, right? To look at these things beforehand, right? To set the expectations with the clients in a way where you're not, there's no prejudice involved, right? You're not steering them to or away from a property. You're just letting them know the facts, and then the market itself will decide which one of these homes, right? Which one of these listings they actually want to see, right? Because people are, there is an affordability issue, right? Kind of many markets here in the U.S. Currently, right? So people are they're not wanting to pay more than they have to. So if a listing agent is offering that buyer's agent commission, it does make the homes more appealing for the buyer themselves because they don't have to pay the commission on their side. But that's absolutely right. As things change, agents need to really kind of protect themselves, right? And they need to look at these things themselves. And I love that keeping a reminder right just right on your pinky finger somewhere right in front of you
Yeah.
to always do that as things progress as well. So Paul, man, I really appreciate you being here, spending the time with us here today. For our listeners out there, right? I always do this with all my guests, new or returning. If they want to know a little bit more about you, if they want to follow you, you do a lot of content on this information as well on your different social medias and your YouTube channel, or if they even want to be part of your coaching program in Successful Business Academy, what are some of the best ways that people can reach you, follow you, and just kind of watch along with your content as well?
Oh, Kobe, thank you very much. And the best thing I could say is, if you want to follow us, just take a look into your Instagram and just search for Successful Business Academy. Successful Business Academy. Go to Google and just type in Successful Business Academy. Then we have an amazing following on YouTube. And when you go to YouTube, just simply put in my name, Paul R. Atkinson. You have to put the middle initial because something else will come up. But it's Paul, Paul, R for Ricardo, Atkinson. An amazing channel will come up and you'll be able to get all these videos. I know we drop, at least one video a week, and many short videos throughout the week. So you can get these little snippets. Good stuff, really good stuff. It's a great resource. The YouTube channel, phenomenal. Thank you, Kobe.
Yeah, absolutely. And we will always make sure to leave links to that in the description down below so you guys can go check out Paul's channel in his Instagram as well. But other than that, man, appreciate you again being here. Before we let you go, is there any last pieces of advice that you haven't shared yet that you want to leave with us before I will let you sign off?
Yeah, thank you very much, Kobe. A lot of things, listing is king, and we never really talked about the listing agent in this. And, as we're getting ready to wrap things up, I just kind of thought about it. As a listing agent, which I function as too, I deal with the buyer. I'm all in it, man. I'm all in it. It's a Kool-Aid. I'm all in it. I just need to know, right? So, having the listings right now, when you have the listings, what I'm noticing is that during this time of change, being a very good and communicative person, a likable person, a listing agent that's really smooth and want to work with the buyer, because most listing agents don't want to work with the buyer. They just want to call, like, hey, listen, it's my listing, that's it. If you transform yourself as a listing agent into becoming that buyer's agent blend, what I'm noticing is that, I'm getting like a lot of double sided. Because I do an open house. I answer a phone call. The buyer asked me information. I said great, and I say, hey, are you working with a realtor? No. Would you like me to be your realtor? Yes. And there you go, and you just kind of get both sides of the deal, right? So it's very interesting. And not only that, but many times you come up on showing a property or own listing to a buyer without any representation of a realtor. And I've just had a buyer. She is a very prominent national bank lender looking for her and her husband. She came without a realtor. She liked me. And damn, Kobe, this week I got 2 referrals from her. Qualified buyers because she liked me. You see what I'm saying? As a listing agent, you're still able to get things happening. That's the point. So I want to leave you with that. It's all about customer service. It's all about your selling skills, to be honest. And the selling skills involve your mental attitude, your mantra, your beliefs, your strengths, your weaknesses, all balled into one.
Absolutely. That's some great advice, right? If you're able to really open up your mind here in this new changes coming out, then you can actually take advantage of a lot of these opportunities, like you said, charging 4%, getting double-sided, getting referrals, all this. So make sure to keep a positive mental attitude, like you've said, Paul. And man, I appreciate you. Thank you for being here today. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you on the next show. Take care.
Take care. Cheers.